What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Nash here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the premiere episode of my new series, WWE's Biggest Issue. You guys know how this works. It is very similar to what I did with YuGiOh's Biggest Issue on Friday, so I don't need to explain. But what is this episode? It is none other than a pay-per-view based on a match that was seen at WrestleMania for like 5 years. That being Money in the Bank. So if you guys don't know, Money in the Bank, the Money in the Bank concept was introduced in 2005, right around the time of WrestleMania, where Chris Jericho, who was still in WWE back then, came up with the idea to hang a briefcase 15 feet high, and whoever grabs the briefcase first will get an opportunity to challenge for any title that he desired. But you would only have up to a year to do it. And over the years, we've had quite a few future Hall of Famers, current Hall of Famers win the match, including the inaugural Mr. Money in the Bank, which that was none other than the Rated R Superstar Hall of Famer Edge, who cashed in his briefcase after 280 days. He held the briefcase for 280 days and actually had to defend the briefcase against Matt Hardy, who was also in WWE. It was the briefcase versus a career. Edge's Money in the Bank briefcase versus Matt Hardy's career. Meaning, if Matt Hardy won, he would become Mr. Money in the Bank. But if Edge won, he would end up going to SmackDown, which that ended up happening. Edge cashed in on John Cena after he suffered a hellacious Elimination Chamber match, and Edge ended up becoming champion, only for him to hold on to the title for only a couple weeks before losing it to John Cena at the Royal Rumble. Then, of course, WrestleMania 22. This took place. So WrestleMania 21 took place here in LA at the Staples Center in 2005. WrestleMania 22 took place at the Allstate Arena in Chicago, shockingly enough. And this was a very interesting night because this was probably by far one, in my opinion, I would say the most overhyped pay-per-view in history. But with this one, Rob Van Dam had won the briefcase at WrestleMania 22, defeating the likes of Bobby Lashley, Matt Hardy, Shelton Benjamin, Finlay, and Ric Flair, I believe. Yes, Ric Flair of all people, if you can believe that. Obviously, too, RVD, as Mr. Money in the Bank, had defeated Shelton Benjamin at a pay-per-view called Backlash to not only retain his Money in the Bank briefcase, but also win the Intercontinental Championship. And he ended up cashing it in just a few months later. Just a few months later at a pay-per-view called One Night Stand, which is an old ECW pay-per-view, which was then turned into the pay-per-view that we see now, that we see now as Extreme Rules. He cashed in on John Cena, like Edge did, and with the help of Edge, RVD became WWE champion. Thus, ECW became a regular weekly show on Tuesdays, which I did watch. Guilty as charged. Thus, Paul Heyman brought back the ECW championship. And then, of course, we had Mr. Kennedy. He only held the briefcase for a couple months. He won the briefcase at WrestleMania 23 at Ford Field in Detroit. He only held the briefcase for only a couple months. And sadly, Edge had basically gloated goaded Mr. Kennedy into defending the briefcase against Edge. Edge ended up winning it. 5 days later, he cashes it in on The Undertaker to win the World Heavyweight Championship. WrestleMania 24, the Citrus Bowl in Orlando. We had so many incredible. There were a lot of great talent in this matchup. We had Mr. Kennedy. We had Jericho. Shelton Benjamin was in there. Carlito, John Morrison, and even also and of course the eventual winner, CM Punk. Yes, CM Punk won not only this one, but also WrestleMania 25's briefcase. Both times he cashed in on the World Heavyweight Champion. 2008 he cashed in on Edge. 2009 he cashed in on Jeff Hardy. Both times he won the title. But when it comes to obviously with the fact that CM Punk cashed in on Jeff Hardy, this was the start of CM Punk's eventual heel turn, and this is where things go so south for the Money in the Bank match itself. If you guys remember the superstar Jack Swagger, yes, that was in my. Sorry guys, I had something caught in my tooth. So if you guys remember Jack Swagger, you will know that he was a part of WWE for quite a while, actually. He was a part of WWE since 2008. From 2008 to 2009, somewhere around there, up until 2016. Up until 2016. So he was around for a while. But he left WWE. Now he's out doing his own thing. I think he's on that promotion. What's it called? AEW or something like that? But yeah. Jack Swagger won the Money in the Bank ladder briefcase at WrestleMania 26. I almost forgot. WrestleMania 25 took place at the Reliance Stadium in Houston. 26 took place at the University of Phoenix Stadium in Phoenix, Arizona. And Swagger only held the briefcase, get this, for only that week. Cashed it in on Chris Jericho to win the World Heavyweight Championship, and he only held it for a few months. So this is where things get interesting. You're probably thinking, okay, couldn't we have just had another Money in the Bank ladder match at next year's WrestleMania? No, wrong, sir. Actually, they ended up deciding to name a pay-per-view based on it called Money in the Bank. And obviously from this point up until 2013, we had 2 Money in the Bank ladder matches, one for Raw, one for SmackDown. For SmackDown, Kane captured the briefcase and actually became the first superstar to cash it in on the same night. He cashed it in on Rey Mysterio to win the World Heavyweight Championship, and obviously this was due to the fact that he was buying into the delusion that somebody in WWE put The Undertaker in a vegetated state on Memorial Day weekend. He thought that it was Rey Mysterio, but we all knew that it was Kane himself. So, and then later that night, yeah, if you haven't guessed, The Miz walked away with the Money in the Bank briefcase for a shot at the WWE title. And this is what sparked that girl to have that face. If you guys remember that girl, the girl from Raw at the Amway Center in Orlando. Oh my god, I needed that. You will know that that little girl ended up winning a Slammy for I think for Expression of the Year or something like that. Some weird award like that. And The Miz cashed in on Randy Orton to become WWE champion. And this was actually his only championship run in WWE. His only WWE title run on in WWE. One year later, Daniel Bryan took out Wade Barrett to win the Money in the Bank briefcase for SmackDown, and held it from that night all the way up until TLC, and cashed it in on the Big Show to win his first of 5 world championships. Interestingly enough, excuse me. Interestingly enough, he told the world he was going to be the only he was going to be the first man to cash in the briefcase at WrestleMania, which at this stage it never came to pass. But did it? You'll have to find out later on in this video. But yeah, he cashed in on Big Show at TLC to win the world title. Michael Cole was livid. He was furious. He was in shock. And then of course, and then of course too, later on at the 2011 Money in the Bank, Alberto Del Rio fought off Rey Mysterio and several others to win the Money in the Bank ladder match for Raw. And if you guys are wondering how I'm getting these details, I'm actually getting them from WWE.com. It's an old article from a while back. It's an old article from a while back, but yeah. He cashed in just a little over a month later at SummerSlam to win the WWE Championship. Then comes 2013. Then comes 2012. Dolph Ziggler wins the SmackDown Money in the Bank ladder match. He had several cash-in misfires, so to speak. But the night after WrestleMania 29 at the Izod Center in Jersey, Dolph Ziggler cashed in Money in the Bank on Alberto Del Rio after he had pretty much broke his knee, basically. And this is what sparked Dolph Ziggler to not only become a babyface, but it also sparked Alberto Del Rio to once again become a heel. Which honestly we knew this was going to happen. We knew this was going to happen. Moving on forward, 2012, John Cena wins Money in the Bank, cashes it in on CM Punk on the Raw on the 1000th episode of Raw, which backfired. Big Show came in and stopped it. And then of course Damien Sandow and then of course 2013 Damien Sandow won his Money in the Bank briefcase by turning his back on Cody Rhodes. Cashed in on John Cena, but it backfired on him. And then Randy Orton. This is what sparked Randy Orton to become a heel and join the Authority. He wins Money in the Bank. SummerSlam comes into play. Triple H. We all know what happened there. Orton becomes WWE champion. And then comes 2014. Seth Rollins wins Money in the Bank and holds on to it until the main event of WrestleMania and cashes it in on both Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns to become WWE champion. 2015, Sheamus comes in, wins the briefcase. And cashes it in on Roman Reigns, wins the WWE title. 2016, Dean Ambrose did that before eventually taking the title to SmackDown. 2017, I think was SmackDown show. So Baron Corbin wins it and Carmella wins it. Carmella cashes in the briefcase. Then on the SmackDown Live after WrestleMania 34 in New Orleans, Corbin fails to cash it in. 2018, Braun Strowman wins it and Alexa Bliss wins it. Bliss wins the briefcase, cashes it in on the same night to win the Raw Women's title. Braun Strowman failed to capture it. After saying that he was going to cash in at Hell in a Cell, Brock Lesnar got involved. 2019, I believe... 2019, I think Bayley and... let's see. If I remember correctly, Bayley and Brock Lesnar. Yeah, so Bayley and Brock Lesnar. Bayley cashes in the briefcase on Charlotte Flair to win her first SmackDown Women's title. Brock Lesnar comes in, wins the briefcase from out of nowhere, cashes it in at Extreme Rules to win back the Universal title. And now, and then of course, to 2020, Asuka and Otis. Otis no longer has the briefcase. Miz now has it. Asuka doesn't have the briefcase anymore because it turned into the Raw Women's Championship, and now she is still the champion. One thing I find so horrible about the concept of the pay-per-view is the fact that it's a pay-per-view. You know, it would have been better off if it was a match and not a pay-per-view, because if it was just a match, then the expectations would be a little bit different. You know, the expectations would be different, and the carnage would be even more, I guess, more gratifying, so to speak. I don't know. I don't know the proper term for it. But honestly, this is just bad for WWE because the Money in the Bank ladder match, its inception was in 2005, so it's been 15 years. It'll be 16 years this coming. Excuse me. I want to say this coming like April or May, so it'll be 15 years that the Money in the Bank ladder match first came to pass. If there was anything that WWE could change about it, I would say put the match, take it back to WrestleMania. That way, whoever becomes Mr. or Miss Money in the Bank, the victory would have been more satisfying than it would have been on a pay-per-view like Money in the Bank. You know, I've done prediction videos for several Money in the Bank events over the last few years. It's just not there anymore. I feel like as if, especially with this past year's Money in the Bank, I feel like as if the spark isn't there. You know, the spark went away the moment they united the WWE Championship and the World Heavyweight Championship to create the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, which, again, I've done prediction videos for those types of pay-per-views before, and again, the spark isn't there. If they were to bring back that spark, they would need to do it on the grand stage that is WrestleMania. Because if they were to do it at WrestleMania, the victory for the participants, for those who win the briefcase, would be more sweeter. That way, the unpredictability of cashing in the briefcase is more unpredictable, because you never know exactly when or how they're going to cash in, compared to the last few Money in the Bank ladder matches over the last events, where obviously John Cena said he would cash in when he would cash in. Braun Strowman did, and that all backfired. And even Baron Corbin, it backfired on him. But with Miz, again, we all know now Miz, once again, is Mr. Money in the Bank, but as far as how WWE should change that, just simply put the match back at WrestleMania. That way, instead of making it a pay-per-view, they could replace that pay-per-view with something else, like, say, I don't know, possibly maybe something like No Mercy, or another older pay-per-view we hadn't seen in years, like Unforgiven, which I wouldn't mind seeing. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. Question of the day: what are you guys' thoughts on this manner? And should the Money in the Bank ladder match go back to WrestleMania? Let me know in the comments below. Use the hashtag MITB, and that is going to do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel, and you guys love seeing, and you guys want more episodes of WWE's Biggest Issue, definitely hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you guys do not miss out on any new content that comes your way. And be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. All the links will be down in the description. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.